You really want to go in there? Just show your face. Come back next week. Maybe they'll let you up. Look, if the vibe ain't right, just do like I said. Plant the seed.
Still finna catch me a body like a sarcophagus, dicing and slicing suckers up. I'm on that barber shit. Hit your baby moms from the back and call my partner in. My homies one thing, that's the parliament. And I'm the best on this stage, that ain't no argument. Hit you with the clip, then split. Watch you fall and I'll drag you to the end of the stage and toss you off of it. And let's go, man, this is my house.
You got your whole crowd boasting you up. These battles rigged, man. I want my money back. What?
You think my battle's staged? You want to take the bread you gave me back? I got that right?
Nah, I'm good.
But I'm not good. Because now word is finna spread that I'm not a fair person. And that costs me money. Now how you suggest I get that bread back, fam? Alright, now that we good, let's set this stage back on fire. Up next is my man's Kid Ruckus and...
Me. I got next.
Hey, young, who little brother is this? Don't this fool got like after school activities to partake in this?
I'm D-Block, right? I don't want to battle Kid Ruckus, right? I want you.
Baby, come get this money from this clown.
Darnell? Are you sure you want to do this? It's your funeral.
Little homie Slick think he the man. He saved up a year's worth of lunch money just for me. Alright, we clocking this a minute flat, cause ain't nobody finna be stuck up here with Geek is the New Black. Let's go.
Hey, here we go. Hey, here we go.
Rolled up in my spot with his chest out. I will cock my 45, blow your chest out. Parents on the lookout, young boy missing. Chances he alive? Nah, suicide mission. Stick you for your shoes, crying to your mama. Find me in her room, hi, I'm your new father. My woes are surrounding you. Focus, my girls, they clowning you. No jizz, my foes, they bound to lose. No wins, my bars, they drowning you. Hold this. This is life, a lesson, a luger to loosen your head. Loyalty and lavishness. But I grew up with the savages, raised with no advantages. I will stomp you in a hole until your soul is wearing bandages. D-Block? Little homie, let me do you a favor. I'll give you a head start. Head home for me. Cause if this battle was drugs, you should have just said no to me. What you waiting for? Crowd ain't gonna save you.
The world is like a jungle and love's the undetectable virus running its way through it. But it's manageable. I risk the inevitable fumble in my heart to pursue it. Can you view it? The void you leave when you graduate? Who cares if this emasculates me? I'll bear the indignity for you, my lady. I loved you in that yellow dress you used to wear. With your mellow, messy bun up there. What about in drama class when you sunk our boat? I swear, girl, we could play Titanic. I'll be your Jack, you could be my Rose. I'm battling through friends and foes, cons and pros. Can she really be my girl? Only time will know. Act now or pay later, graduation is on the roads. I'm always messing up my words because when you're around, I'm out of those. I can't promise that we'll stick, we'll bond, or we'll click together. But what's love without danger, stranger? But I can't promise you. I can treat you better.
You're an idiot. I can't believe how stupid you really are. You could have gotten us both killed.
Okay, I should listen to you more often.
Yeah, well, your timing is something else.
Not tonight, Janet. I was straight. I was wrong.
You got all your stuff taken. You didn't get her address, her number. What do you mean you're straight?
Planted the seed.
Deep in the soil, many won't see it. That's what happens when you plant a seed. Give it some water, just by the sun rays. Yeah, it looks a little green. It twists and it toils, they'll just ignore you. But that's when it's breaking free. They didn't know you, and they couldn't see you. But now we can see the leaves.
As soon as you get dressed, you come on down to this kitchen so I can put something in your stomach. Now, I know that you're nervous about what has happened since we've been home, but we're just gonna have to put it in the Lord's hands and know that everything is gonna be all right. Oh, the striped one, that was your father's favorite.
Dad really wore these clip-ons?
He certainly did.
He didn't know how to tie a real necktie?
Well, not properly like his father. See, your father wore that tie when Mr. Carlton called and asked for a meeting with him so he could cut his grass on Saturdays.
Dad wore a tie to get a job to cut grass.
Oh, the first impression is always the most important thing when you're presenting yourself.
Why didn't Grandpa just tie a real necktie for Dad to get a job for Mr. Carlton?
Because your grandfather was out of town. So your father rushed to the 5 and 10 cent store. He got this clip-on. And since it was his first job and his first clip-on, he always said it brought him good luck. Oh, look at you. Just as handsome as you want to be. Oh, baby, are you sure you want to do this?
How about that, son? They want you to enroll as a junior on the university level, somewhere like Howard, Harvard, Yale, or Stanford. Your counselor said they would love to nourish you.
Wake up! We're about to take a little ride.
Where am I going?
I don't answer questions. Now get over here, you know the drill. Let's go.
I'll take them off when I get back to my cell. I didn't know clip-ons were still popular.
Easier to put on.
You know, your grandmother worked in this jail for 40 years as a nurse before retiring. I'm imagining she called in a lot of favors to get you in here. So, why'd you need to see me?
I wanted you to know that I know what happened to Mom.
I see. Your grandmother told you, huh?
No. Mom did before she died. She said you shouldn't be blamed for the accident. She said she was drinking and she wouldn't let you drive.
All right.
I need to know the truth. I don't care how bad it is. I just need to know the truth. Did you kill that man?
Harv was someone I looked up to out there on the streets. He had my back, and I had his.
Tell me what happened, Dad.
Harv was an old war vet who had learned to survive on the streets. He knew how bad I wanted to see you. But I didn't want you to see me down and out like this. I wanted you to see me with some sense of pride, son. Harv woke up early one morning, wanted me to come with him.
Sean! Sean, wake up! Wake up, Sean!
What?
And say where at first.
About the job.
He ain't gotten us a job.
Go get that money.
And he was gonna give me half his money so I can get some new clothes and clean myself up so you wouldn't think I was doing so bad out there. When we got to the spot, the person who hired us met us at the door.
What took you so long?
The bus was late, so we took another bus.
Get your ass inside. You're wasting my time. I got work for you to do. Get all these boxes loaded in the truck out back.
All of them?
Yes, all of them.
Didn't even finish the job. Put my headphones on. I went to the bathroom Harv went to go collect our money.
Yeah, I'm all loaded up. I'll be there in the morning. All right.
Wait. This here ain't all our money. Well, where the rest of that money?
Get your filthy hands off of me. That's all you're getting. Get out.
You ain't getting out of here without giving us the rest of our money, boy. Give me money.
Hey, Harv, did you get our...
Harv!
Hey, what happened, man? Hey, I gotta get you some help. Where's your phone? Hey, don't die on me. Hold on, Harv. Hold on! No, son. I did not kill Harvey. If you don't believe anything else, I did not kill my friend. He was what? Dad, he was what? He was like a father to me. And I always watch you out in the courts ever since you came back. I didn't want you to see me, but boy, you still got them moves. Just like I showed you. But you gotta slow down, man. Don't be such in a rush to make that shot without focusing on the basket. Just like this. Something else on your mind, son. Look, you said you wanted the truth. If there's something else, just ask.
Norman, thank you so much for coming in today. Eric and I racked our brains half the night trying to come up with the best defense for your brother. And as much as I hate to say it, this is an open and shut case for the prosecution. Wouldn't you say, son?
Most definitely, Daddy. Norm, your brother doesn't stand a chance.
I know I'm just a paralegal here, but there might be some kind of loophole if we keep looking.
No, the evidence is too strong, especially after 2 cops witnessed your brother committing the murder.
And if your brother pleads guilty, we can absolutely get a lesser sentence with a plea bargain. Carrie, what is the prosecution asking for in this case?
A minimum of 50 years to life, no parole.
I can do better than that. Perhaps even half. Parole in 20.
Well, that's still a long time for someone to be incarcerated from a crime my brother says he did not commit.
And the prosecution isn't even trying to give a sensible plea.
They don't need to, Carrie. I know Prosecutor Brad from my days in college. I know how he works. He was known as the Dark Knight of the prosecutors. I was known as the Duke of Plea Bargains. That's why my dad and I have decided I will handle this case.
With all due respect, this is not some kind of game where you and your old college chum just get together to see who earns bragging points. This is someone's life we're talking about here.
Right. A life that doesn't stand a chance in front of a hard-nosed judge. Also known as a hanging judge if these were the Western days.
Oh, he's also a judge who's known for following the law.
Carrie, not trying to be insulting, but you're a contract lawyer. Not even officially with the firm yet.
Yeah, that's enough, son. Carrie, Eric is the best one to get a decent deal for Nora's brother.
Shouldn't we check with the client first?
Carrie, Eric will be handling this case from now on.
Deshaun, what are you doing here?
They told me you guys having a meeting. I figured it's about my dad. I should be here. I do know about the law.
Norm, is this the little whippersnapper you told me who went to law school and passed the bar at what, 14, you say? Yeah. Impressive.
Yes, Mr. Askew, that's Deshaun McHenry. He's my nephew, and he's also the defendant's son.
I find this to be all quite amusing. We have not officially met. I am Oswald Askew, the owner of this firm. It is a pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure meeting you, sir. Thank you for letting me work in the janitorial department. I'm learning a lot.
That's a good thing. Norm, this boy's gonna have a good head on your shoulders one day, and I want to explain to you how we're gonna do this. What's his name?
Deshaun.
Deton, you're like every young duckling who wants to jump right into the ocean before they swim in the pond. And Nona, we're going to make this a teachable moment for Deton because we're going to show you what it's like to have influential people in the right places. Eric, why don't you go tell the lad how we're going to be doing this case?
With pleasure, Daddy. Deshaun, it's been decided I'll be handling your father's case. Been looking at the evidence. It is very strong.
But strong doesn't mean it can't be weakened. If it can be weakened, the truth can be brought to light. My dad said he didn't do it, and I believe him.
I think it's highly improbable we win this case. I would say there's no way possible, but what we are sure is to get a plea bargain that will reduce your father's sentence, which is what I specialize in.
You mean when my dad say he's guilty before we go to trial?
No, that's not...
Let me interject right here. Young man, think about a plea bargain as a gift for unattainable circumstances.
Unattainable circumstances? What's unattainable circumstances?
Son, like everybody else in this room, we would all love to wave a magic wand and free all of the people who claim they're innocent. We can't. We can, however, use the reliable plea bargain wand. And in fact, it's the best friend folks like your daddy will have.
What if people like my dad really are innocent?
Then the plea bargain gives everybody an opportunity to have a meeting of the minds, and everybody feels great. Everybody wins.
Everybody, except the person who is innocent.
He's not gonna get it, Daddy. With that being said, I'm gonna go back to my office and start softening the prosecutor to get us a plea bargain that we can live with.
There's not gonna be a plea bargain.
Excuse me?
You're not representing my dad.
We've already established Carrie's not representing your dad.
I know. I am.
You're what?
Going to represent my dad.
Young man, if you think I am going to let you represent this firm, you have totally misunderstood your employment here. And in fact, if you keep this up, you're going to find yourself back down in the basement doing janitor work.
This is a notarized letter from my dad. Mr. Deshaun T. McHenry giving me total rights as I see fit. And Mr. Askew, you don't have to fire me, sir. I respectfully resign.
Excuse me.
What in the hell just happened? That boy insults me and insults my firm? I'm gonna have to talk to Judge Carnegie about this.
I wouldn't be too worried about talking to the judge. There's no way he's gonna let a kid practice law in his courtroom. Let me assure you, Prosecutor Brad and Judge Carnegie are gonna eat up that kid like a bowl of cornflakes. What does he know about the law?
Well, being that contracts are my specialty, I can tell you that this letter is pretty official. And it's witnessed by a top notary that only deals with lawyers.
Do you have any idea what you're doing? I take it you don't approve.
Of course I don't. You are letting your son commit suicide in a court of law. Who's gonna take him seriously?
I am. Our mama does.
But he's still a kid.
And he's my son.
Well, did you think about what this is gonna do to your son if he loses this case? It's going to destroy him. Brother, look. This afternoon, your son came to me and he said, I don't want to let my dad down again. He blames himself for you walking out in his life.
We both know that's not true.
But he doesn't feel that way. God. If this is your way of trying to make things right, then you need to rethink about what you were doing.
You think that I don't know how this is going to end? I'm a black man in America. And the only thing I'm doing is showing my son that I believe enough in him that I'm willing to put my life in his hands.
Fine. But what about his life? A judge is gonna throw him out of his courtroom before he opens his mouth to say that he's a lawyer. Now, I've been a paralegal for I know exactly how cases like this turn out. Well, it appears your life is going to be in your son's hands sooner than you thought. An immediate trial date has been set.
Counselors, in my chambers now.
Unbelievable. This is the most ridiculous thing I have ever heard in all my years on this bench. Sending in a child to practice law in my courtroom is both unacceptable and most opprobrious. What in God's name is going on with that law firm you're with?
I'm no longer with the Askew firm, Your Honor. I resigned.
Well, that might help to explain your lack of judgment in this matter. Askew would never have tolerated this kind of nonsense.
Your Honor, the defendant has put his faith in this young man as the head counselor on this case.
Yeah, well, I'm putting him out. Did you think that me or any judge would allow you to turn this trial into a kiddie circus?
No, sir, and I don't want you to, Your Honor.
Counselor, perhaps you can explain to me your contempt for the court system.
Your Honor, I will assure you, no one's trying to make a mockery of the court system.
Then where did he garner his experience, huh? Lawyers or us?
Good one, Your Honor. I've asked myself that same question, but who's listening to me?
Nobody wants to listen to you.
Ooh, sensitive little cookie. Already beginning to crumble. You know, when I got the memo that they put a baby in charge, I got this for you.
Watch it, Counselor.
My humble apologies, Your Honor, but I agree with you. No child has ever stood before a judge to defend a case in the court of law.
But that doesn't mean he's not equipped to handle the case.
How old are you, kid?
14, sir.
He is not equipped. This is not going to
Burnside
happen.
versus Evans, Your Honor.
Excuse me?
It was a milestone case held up by the United States Court of Appeals in 1895.
I beg your pardon?
Burnside versus Evans. It was one of the most popular trials of the 1800s.
So you are asking me to consider something that happened in the 1800s? You can't be serious.
I am very serious, sir. Edwin Peters was a sharecropper and a grandson of a former slave who had worked on the Burnside sugar plantation.
And what does a sugar plantation in the 1800s have to do with this case?
Couldn't have asked a better question myself, Your Honor.
Sharecropper Edwin Peters asked to defend another sharecropper that had been accused for stealing sugarcane to sell for food to feed his family.
Oh, I see where this is going.
We're gonna play the race card.
The field worker was to be hung in 3 days, but sharecropper Edwin Peters asked the judge for the opportunity to defend him.
As Your Honor so profoundly asked, what does that have to do with the 21st century? I mean, we are.
In the 21st century, last I checked?
The judge allowed sharecropper Edwin Peters to defend the field worker.
If I may be so presumptuous.
So what?
Because it was only as a joke for the judge's elite friends and spectators. It was supposed to have been for entertainment purposes. The judge wanted to prove his theory that Negroes were incompetent under law in court proceedings. Also, to guarantee the plaintiff, Mr. Burnside, a sure win.
This is ridiculous.
Only in your eyes. But what the judge didn't know, Your Honor, was that sharecropper Edwin Peters had been mopping the floors at night in the law library since he was 6 years old. Unbeknownst to the staff, Edwin had taught himself how to read and read almost every book in the library. So to present his case to the jury, Edwin could gather compelling evidence and won the case.
I still don't get the connection.
I'm trying to break it down for you. When the court found out that Edwin Peters was just 16, they tried to have the verdicts overturned and proceedings sealed. Both the lower court and Mr. Burnside's lawyer were unsuccessful twice by the Court of Appeals. The Burnside versus Evans case proves that a judge can grant anyone who can appear in court confident.
I am quite familiar with Burnside versus Evans, young man. And I am also quite familiar with my judicial responsibilities. Thank you very much.
Your Honor, just because this youngster knows a touch of history does not make him qualified.
Tell that to university where I earned my degree. Your Honor, someone also once said, the measure of the great lawyer is one who never gives up on their clients, and most importantly, recognizes that sometimes the blindfold of justice should be taken off clearly to see the rightfulness of the unjust.
An amiable little quote, Your Honor, but clearly from some feeble-minded, uninformed loser of the legal system who in all likelihood wanted to write a book.
Your Honor, I received my law degree from the same institution as you.
Carlise, get me Chairman Hankerson on the phone, please. ASAP. The chancellor at my old alumni happens to be a good fishing buddy of mine. So maybe he can shed some light on this. Then perhaps we could put an end to this charade you're trying to manifest in my courtroom. And you, counselor, can work this case properly or find an attorney that will.
This is clearly a stall tactic by the defense.
Are you afraid? I fear no one in the courtroom, especially some little brat.
Knock it off, counselor.
With all due respect, Your Honor, if the defendant is willing to place his life in this young man's hands, it will be no different than the defendant representing himself, which he has every right under the law to do.
Yes, Carlise. Patch him through. Charles! Well, how are you? Well, that is wonderful news. Wonderful. Look, I do hate to rush our conversation, Charles, but I'm about to oversee a trial here that perhaps you could shed some clarity upon. I have a young man in my chambers here who is professing to be an attorney by the name of Deshaun McHenry. Oh, you are familiar with him. Mm-hmm. Yale, Harvard, and Howard University? At what age? I see. Well, Charles, I do appreciate you getting back to me in a timely fashion. And do me a favor, save some of them fish for me, you hear? All right, Charles, we'll talk soon. Mm-hmm. I'm going to allow you to proceed.
You can't be serious.
Thank you, Your Honor. That amiable little quote you said that came from a feeble-minded, uninformed loser that wanted to write a book? Those were the closing words for a judge's speech to first-year law students. I was one of those students. Oh, and they could use this more than me.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Your Honor, aren't you concerned about your image allowing a kid to handle a criminal proceeding in your courtroom?
I'm not concerned even a little bit. Don't you wish that you could say that? Out. Carlise? Yeah, get me all the information you can on Burnside versus Evans, 1895. It was argued in front of the United States Court of Appeal. Thank you, as soon as possible.
Hey, no cuss. Good behavior and all.
I don't have much time, but I want to tell you myself. I did it. The judge is going to let me defend you.
That's good.
I've read up on Judge Carnage. He's very far to the right. He was interviewed to be nominated for Supreme Court Justice, but makes no secrets how he was against Roe versus Wade, so he was passed on. Because of that, everyone thinks we shouldn't have a trial. They think you should take a plea.
Son, the cops found me holding a knife in Harvey's chest. My fingerprints on the weapon. Maybe a plea's not such a bad idea.
But you didn't stick the knife in the man's chest.
I know, but I don't see how I'm gonna get off.
Just because you're homeless, you're still a human being. A father. A good one if you have the chance to show it. We have to go to trial to prove you're innocent, Dad.
Okay.
I'm gonna press everything the prosecutor has on you, then I have to rush over to the courthouse before it closes, and then I have to go back home and study some more so I can get you out of here.
Okay, wait, hold on. Come here. Put the books down. Put it down. Come here. Can't have you running off looking like this. All did this. Let's do it this way. All right? Just come around. through this loop up here. Then we're gonna pass it down through this loop right here. Get that looking nice. And then we want to take this skinny one and tuck it behind the fat one, just like my father taught me. Fix your collar. Boom. There you go. I love you, kiddo.
I love you back.
Deshaun? My goodness, Deshaun. Babe, Deshaun, come on. Go to bed. You need to go to bed. Now, you can't do this every night. Come on. That's a good boy. My goodness. Goodness, baby.
You don't want this. It's the face of your rival. You weaponize your people. I militarize my titles. My kingdom made up with rhythm. My 808s came with vitals. My team shoot out your dream. My troop was your daughter's idols. I know they know. 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 I know they found a young fly, the cool guy. Watch me get it all night. We gon' be alright, man. I know they know. 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 I know they watch me. Ooh, man. What we gon' do? I brought the crew. I let them loose, man. I thought you knew. I know they know. You don't want this. It's the face of your rival. You weaponize your people. I militarize my titles. My kingdom made up with rhythm. My 808s came with vitals. My team shoot out your dream. My troop was your daughter's idols. I know they know. 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 I know they found a young fly, the cool guy. Watch me get it all night. We gon' be alright, man. I know they know. 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 I know they watch me. Ooh, man. What we gon' do? I brought the crew. I let them loose, man. I thought you knew. I know they know. You don't want this. It's the face of your rival. You weaponize your people. I militarize my titles. My kingdom made up with rhythm. My 808s came with vitals. My team shoot out your dream. My troop was your daughter's idols. I know they know. 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 I know they found a young fly, the cool guy. Watch me get it all night. We gon' be alright.
Waking up in the middle of the night like something ain't right. I can't eat, I can't think, and I'm losing sleep. Another bad day, feeling kinda offbeat. Storm cloud hanging on me. My heart is broken, my throat is choking, and I can hardly breathe. So if you see me, and I'm not shining, it's just a shadow blocking out the light. But I'm not worried, morning's coming, and in my new day, life is okay. I will be just fine. I need my sunshine, I wear it in my heart, I share it with a smile. Can't you see it? Everything in my life's alright. I look up and my future's so bright, and even though it's gonna be a long night, and I'm hungry. Calls from collectors haunt me. I'm in foreclosure, marriage is over, and I need life support. But if I make it through this evening with a dream to believe in, forecast clear, no more tears, and I can't breathe again. So if you see me and I'm not shining, it's just a shadow looking down the line. I'm not worried, morning's coming, and in my new day life is okay. Everything is fine. Hey, open it in my heart. See it in my smile. Can't you see it? Hey, my life's alright. I look up in the future so bright, so bright. And even though it's gonna be a long night, I will rise again. I will rise again. I will shine again. Live again. I will rise again. I'm gonna shine again. I'm gonna live again. Learn how to love again. When you see me and I'm not shining, it's just a shadow. I need my sunshine. I get my sunshine in my heart, in my smile. I know you see it. Hey, my life's alright. Hey, I look up in the future, my future's so bright. It's gonna be a long night. I will rise again.
Hello, I'm Denyce Graves, and we're in the Bayview Opera House, the oldest community opera house in San Francisco. I've sung arias like the one you've just heard in opera houses and had the fortune to perform in recital halls, concert halls, radio, television, and special events, but I've never sung in a house quite like this one. You have but to move the seats and it becomes the center of community life, filled with the sights and sounds of the community. A marketplace, a dance hall, or a meeting place. The Hyers Sisters sang to great acclaim in houses like this one all over the country. But in the 1880s and 90s, when night riders and lynchings terrorized Black people and black-faced minstrels mimicked them across the land, Anna and Emma Hyers stood up to become voices for freedom. They fought the minstrels' ridicule, and what were their weapons? Charming musical stories of Black life that asserted Black dignity without blackface. These became the first American musicals that provided the first integrated casting in American music theater. So now we celebrate the legacy of the Hyers Sisters, and we invite you to enjoy Voices for Freedom.
Dream, 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 dream.
It's a story of hope. It's a story of promise. Things are possible.
People tell you you can't do something because you're the wrong color, you're the wrong gender, you speak the wrong language. It doesn't matter. As long as you have that belief, you can achieve anything.
Dream, 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 dream. Historian Delilah Beasley, the Oakland Tribune's first African-American reporter, hopes to convince Anna Maida Hyers to share the Hyers Sisters story for her forthcoming book. After an international career with her sister Emma, Anna Hyers has retired and obscured her identity. For 12 years, she's lived as the wife of a respected Sacramento doctor under the name Mrs. Maida A. Fletcher.
Anna, may I call you Anna? I am so honored to be here. I am so looking forward to our interview.
Mrs. Beasley, my sister and I, we were a team. And Emma, she passed on back in '99.
Anna Maida and Emma Louise Hyers were operatic prodigies. Anna was born in 1855 in Troy, New York, and Emma in Sacramento 2 years later.
They were raised in Sacramento and performed in the Bay Area and actually nationwide. So they're two very important figures in not only American musical history, but American history in general, given the period of time that we're going to talk about, the Reconstruction period. Reconstruction was the action that was taken on the part of the federal government after the Civil War to put the nation back together because it had simply been blown apart. So we're talking about a period of time from about 1865 to 1877. A lot of this had to do with not only the conferring of citizenship, the abolition of slavery, but was also really the backing of the intent of the federal government with the physical power of the federal government, because northern troops, at least federal troops, were stationed in the South to enforce the new law. So a very, very important time in our nation's history.
Northern California Black communities in Sacramento and San Francisco were active in civil rights. Their spiritual and political leaders definitely encouraged the girls and would have helped set their social compass.
The Hyers were raised in the African American community in San Francisco. They were born in Sacramento, but they were taught music in San Francisco, and they lived in the activist community led by Mary Ellen Pleasant, the mother of civil rights in California. It was something like living down the street from Martin Luther King. So that community not only set the activist agenda in the 1860s and 70s, but they were the ones who sponsored the concerts.
Perhaps this will help. Oh, but we had a dream.
The opera?
Yes.
In 1867, the girls debuted with their parents, who were amateur opera singers. Anna was petrified, but Emma displayed comedic talent. Their father, Sam, was a barber by profession, one of many message bearers of Northern California activist communities. Their Hyers Concert Opera Company was managed by Sam, their father, who also sang tenor.
When we look at 1871, we wonder, how did they manage to be such successful concert artists across the country? And then we remember that it was the time of the Transcontinental Railroad. So the railroad helped them out. Their agents published many articles that said these were great artists, and indeed all the newspapers all across the country herald them as great operatic artists.
It was the first African-American troupe to achieve nationwide acclaim and to have the exclusive Red Path management.
Well, the Hyers were marketed through the Red Path Lyceum circuit. And this was, a kind of middle-class improvement organization, you might say. The Lyceums were basically traveling shows like we today have speakers series, and we have traveling performers who come in, they're specialists, or they're known for their books or their preaching, perhaps, or their performance as musicians. And the very fact that the Lyceum, the Red Path Lyceum picked up the Hyers Sisters immediately caught my attention, because I thought, well, this is very interesting. There may have been, I'm not sure if I even could name other African Americans who are on the Red Path circuit at this point, but certainly few, if any, women. So that their presence on the Lyceum circuit is special and unique.
The Hyers troupe, headlined by the Sisters, presented many outstanding guest artists who performed opera, popular song, and spirituals.
Oh, the gospel band I'm going to play has gone to live with the Lamb, and she's only waiting for the sail away, has gone to live with the Lamb. Yes, has done queen all my worldly ways, done queen all my worldly ways, done queen all my worldly ways, has gone to live with the Lamb. Little body of Rolo Panini, la sconsolata vita, ma ti giunge, chi profanori artici il sacro loco, maledizione, 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 maledizione.
They charge us, they charge me to follow my dreams.
Dream, 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 dream. The Hyers had a dream. They were going to be successful in concert opera all across America, which they were. And then they were going to Europe, and they were going to come back and be the first African American women or men to sing in major opera houses in the United States.
Dreams of believing in myself so much. I gotta get up, get out and make something of myself. So much self-doubt and self-hate in the world. All I can do is hold on to my fate, and my granddaddy was a slave.
But the dream was not to be.
Hyers were the first to tour on the mainstream opera circuit in concert from 1871 to 1876. Then, in 1876, when there was a secret deal to put Rutherford B. Hayes in the presidency, and they pulled the troops from the South and the protection of African Americans, all hell broke loose.
The decision to have the Southern Democrats and to give that election away in exchange for the return of the South. And that really spelled the end of Reconstruction. And it spelled really a pretty ugly 25 years of American history from the 1870s right through to the 1890s.
And it was characterized by a rise of lynchings at a rate of 100 per year. There was the rise of terror by white mobs. Scholar Rayford Logan called this the nadir, the low point in the history of race relations in the United States up until that point. And a lot of people don't know that the history of race riots in the United States until the 1960s, the experience was of whites destroying black lives, black property, black communities. And the eugenics movement advocated the castration of so-called inferior races and eventually influenced the Nazis.
And the scary part is, because we're still dealing with issues that grew out of that whole idea of who is fit to live and who isn't. The various expositions and state fairs made a wonderful attempt and example to show the races of man and exactly how far on the bottom rung the black man was. It was okay to make fun of this newly liberated population and their talk and their walk and what they ate. A lot of this manifested in this popularity of the minstrel shows and minstrelsy.
I want everyone to make a lot of noise. I want everyone to make a lot of noise. It's parade and the drum happy, 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 make a lot of noise.
A group of 4 men get together, they dress up in tattered clothing, and suddenly they they black up their faces, and they take on these various kinds of sort of folk instruments or noisemaker instruments. And they did this kind of what was probably a kind of spontaneous act based on a few songs that they had put together. And it was like any fad, it just hit with a wallop, and suddenly this was the entertainment to beat all entertainments.
Gentlemen, be seated. Glasses white?
Yes, Mr. Interlocutor.
Why were you running down the street so fast last night?
I was running to stop a fight.
Who was fighting?
Me and another fella.
There were not only white minstrels still, parading around and making buffoons of African Americans, but there were even African American minstrel shows at this time. So this was a popular form of entertainment, and it's ironic that they would have to sort of make a living making fun of themselves, but we all have to make a living doing something.
We knew that we had to do whatever it took in order to make it in this society. People were willing to do it because they had to figure out ways in which to support themselves and support their families, especially in a hostile society that was wanting to put them back into slavery.
Well, when we realized that so many people had never seen African Americans, and the only image that they had was that the minstrels put forth as Zip Coon and buffoons, when we realized that they started to have packets that people could buy to have home minstrel parties, and what they did was image African Americans at parties at home in the same way that the minstrels had done, then we realized the damage that was being done to African Americans at a terrible point in our history.
Jojo, what are you squirming for? What makes you so nervous?
I ain't nervous. I'm just worried on account of my clothing store.
I didn't know you had a clothing store.
I didn't say I had a clothing store.
You certainly said you had a clothing store.
I did not say I had a clothing store. Did I say I had a clothing store? No. There's a nail here in my chair, in my clothing store.
I mean, being a clown, being a jokester, having humor be at the basis of your theatrical production, there's nothing inherently racist about that. It is the intent that is the important issue here. Those are methodologies of theater that have been used time immemorial. What we need to do is examine what are people's intentions behind presenting that kind of humor that is associated with particular races, in this case, Black folks.
And so there the Hyers stepped up. They left their dream and they came forward. For 20 years. They were the sole providers of a new image of African Americans as human, as having a story, as claiming the American dream.
What do you bring to the table of life? Do you just wait? Sometime life passes by. What do you bring to the table of life? Do you just wait? Sometime life passes by. Life passes by. Dreams get deferred, pushing back to the back of my mind like an old pair of shoes, backed by the blues. Tell me, what would you do? They got blood on the leaves, can't vote the problem away. They profiling me on the streets, and ain't no jobs for me, so it's hard to eat. Values versus dreams, now they taking that away from me. I'm looking to my community, but they looking to me, and words can't explain the pain that I feel when I see my brothers murdered in the streets, and we ain't doing nothing but marching, and ain't no in-betweens. It seems we forgot it's gonna take action to mobilize these dreams. Don't you just waste your time, life passes by.
They decided, even though they were successful, even though they could have gotten on the boat, they decided to come back and to change to comic opera so that they could take special musicals on the African American experience all across the land to their opera audiences.
Goodbye, goodbye, my dear old cabin home. Goodbye, goodbye, I leave thee now to roam. No fears of ghosts, I bid them all farewell.
So I think what's really significant and inspiring is that the responses that African Americans made to this time of terror has left us with wonderful gifts that we can still witness and still utilize in our time.
The attitude that prevailed was that we've got a new century. Really, there's a new century coming, and we want to be ready for the new century. If we want to be ready for the new century, then we've got to do our homework now. And that's why I think out of that generation, from emancipation to probably the turn of the century, we had the greatest flurry of patents and inventions and movement and things that were just remarkable, coming from a people that had been in bondage for over 200 years.
God don't never change. God is God, and He always will be God.
I think that the culture of African Americans is predicated on a fierce faith, faith in a higher power, a power higher than any human being, certainly, that claimed himself as a master, and also what I would call a kind of militant optimism, that their efforts could rescue American democracy, rescue it from the limitations of white supremacy.
God is a God. He don't never change. God is a God, and He always will be God. will be God.
That faith is not just a religious faith, that is a core of a culture, a faith that also has a very profound civic implications.
I don't believe he brought me this far. I won't believe he brought me this far. I can't believe he brought me this far to leave me.
The Hyers musicals emerged from dark times with the spirit of creation. The Hyers altered their dreams to produce an important legacy for music theater and human rights.
Oh, down in Alabama, before I was set free, I loved a dark-eyed yellow gal and thought that she loved me. But she has proved inconstant and left me here to tell the sorrow that my heart feels for deceitful Sarah Bell.
With a ready-made, adoring opera audience, the Hyers comic opera toured the nation successfully for the next 20 years. The Hyers used various types of music to advance one musical story. This innovation produced what we now call a musical.
In those days, there was melodrama, and so the characters didn't change. Most of the time, the characters were men, like the villain. They not only opened the door to the new musical, to the first musicals, they brought the first African-American leads onto the mainstream stage.
And Emancipation Day, I have lived to see that too. The happiest day the colored man ever knew. Then get up early in the morning, I'm coming. Ring the bell and blow the horn and let me hear the banjo play. Tell the old folks one and all I'm coming. For I am so happy that I sings all day.
They brought the first integrated stage, and they set the stage for the musicals that were to come in the 1890s.
They did things with a purpose, and they had a message. And isn't this what we all want to do as artists, to make a difference?
We are looking at telling our story, which is one of the most resilient stories of coming out of oppression that the world has ever known.
The Hyers ended their careers in 1894. And after that, Isham's minstrels, Black Patty's minstrels, and so many other African-American minstrels partook of what the Hyers had done. They put opera in their musicals. They did so many things that we can trace back to the Hyers, who have been unsung.
Their status, so to speak, deserves more attention, because we can now look back and say, yes, there were predecessors before our modern actors, before our modern entertainers. It didn't all just start in the 1920s.
Leaping out to run, the fields, the brooks, I bid them off their well. With hope and joy, the heart can never tell.
We were very good.
Yes, you were.
Anna and Emma Hyers had the courage to stand up when and where it counted. They weighed their values against their dreams. And even in perilous times, their musical struck a universal chord and opened minds and hearts. Music can do this. As celebrated poet Dr. Maya Angelou once remarked, the opening of our eyes in acceptance of each other is the only hope for healing today's racial divide. Voices for freedom. Thank you for joining us.